Hey guys, this is Stevescapes. Welcome to the first of what I'm going to be calling the contest calendar series, where I take you guys through, well, you know what? This is going to be a more casual series where I talk to the audience on like this personal basis, but essentially, you know, a big part of what goes into competitive aquascaping is project management. You have a calendar. There are certain things that have to be done by certain times. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if I took you guys through, you know, the main steps, check-ins. We're checking in. What stage of the calendar you should be in? What should you be doing right now as we go through the overall preparation towards the eventual contest submissions? So I'm here with my two new aquariums, 120 centimeter by 60 centimeter by 60 from UNS. Yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. These aquariums are beautiful, and the stands too. It's really like having two large size competitive aquascapes has always been my dream, and to finally have it together here, I'm super excited to be working with it. Now, I am personally a bit behind schedule, so that'll be part of my journey here, catching up to where we're supposed to be, because let's see, I'm recording this in the middle of January, so usually what I aim to do is start hardscaping by the beginning of January. For instance, in the IAPLC's case, the contest, obviously submission end date is the end of May, and then the contest results come out in August. So as soon as we click that submit button at the end of IAPLC, it immediately starts the calendar going towards the next IAPLC. Of course, there's only certain things you can do, not knowing how the results of the contest that you just finished are gonna turn out, and you're gonna be exhausted, let's face it. At the end of May, you're probably gonna be exhausted after a submission and gonna need some time to refresh. Unless you're in the middle of the season for the next, you know, because end of June is the deadline for KIAC, and up until recently would have been the deadline for IIAC. So if you were doing both, you'd have to be jumping in to wrap up your aquascape for those contests. But let's say we're talking about IAPLC only. So end of May, you finish, and then you take a couple weeks, breather, and then what do? Well, now you're already on calendar, you're already on the clock to start thinking about finding inspiration, ideas for the next aquascape. You got May, June, July, August, and then at that August point, you get the results from the contest that are gonna help you think more about your submission and your ideas for the next year. And then September, October, November, December. So you got 8-9 months in there to bring together ideas and think about the inspiration that goes behind an aquarium, goes behind your next submission. And actually, like, the more time that you can give to that, you know, idea finding phase, that story finding phase, the greater your aquascape is gonna be. Like Fukada-san even described it to me at one point. It's like playing chicken. Who's gonna be the guy who gives up on hunting for inspiration first? You're like ramming towards each other, and whoever can spend more time on that storyboard phase before, no, I just gotta get to the next stage. You know, that's going to be a difference in like the depth of thought behind your aquascape. So, but still, 8-9 months is good. So try to start hardscaping at least by the start of January, especially for a heavy impact dioramascape. If you're going with a nature aquarium that only needs, you know, a few days to put hardscape together, whatever. Oh yeah, guys, one consequence of being in the basement, I'm right next to the water heater. Apologies for that. Not the best choice in terms of content creation, but I also was not willing, at the end of the day, I was a little bit too afraid to put more than over 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pounds of weight on the floors of this house that we're renting. So we're down here, and I got my privacy, I got space to work with, I can put all my hardscape and stuff. I even got the summer outdoor chairs here to, like, you know, I'm gonna sit myself down and enjoy, relax as I view the aquariums and get ready to work on them. So back to what we were talking about, calendar. middle of January starting on Hardscape. Frankly, we're a bit late to the game, but you know, it is what it is. So that said, I think it's going to be okay, in part because my strategy this year is to do 2 aquariums, same concept for both. So that means I only have to do the thinking and backstory ideas for just one theme, right? Gonna be the same story, same theme for both aquariums and same plants, which this is my strategy. We're gonna make 2 tanks. One of them is gonna be nature aquarium style, and the other one is gonna be high impact diorama. Same story, but one Zen, one so one Zen, one big impact. You know, one traditional, one progressive. And with the same plant line up in both, you know, one of the best things that you can do in your fish room is to have, you know, you want to grow out tank. You want to be able to grow your plants on both. You want to be able to have, you know, plants going on, doing their thing, finding their balance in their environment, and you want to have backup in a farm tank that can help your contest tank. This year though, I don't have the luxury of having a farm tank, and I have 2 contest tanks, but my strategy is, well, if both tanks have the same plant list, then they are each other's farm tank while also being contest tanks. And I think this is going to be a cool, interesting idea to have one nature aquarium, one high impact diorama aquarium, but same story, same theme, and see how that, you know, approach, that difference of approach to each is going to affect the overall, you know, the overall style and the overall end presentation. Which means that if one of them is a nature aquarium, I think that it's not going to be too hard to get the hardscape up for that side and immediately get the plants going so that, you know, we can help mature out the second. So that's kind of where I am right now. I am going to be playing catch up because normally at this part of the year, in the middle of January, I would have liked to, you know, be in the thick of it, have already been hardscaping for a week, 2 weeks. Some years, like if I was really fortunate, I'd get my theme down, my concept down by mid-November or mid-November or early December, and then start hardscaping. Because you want, especially for the high impact diorama, a month or 2 months worth of hardscaping work before you plant the plants. You don't want to be, you know, rushing yourself through the hardscaping process. Anything that can be done during the hard stage, like, you know, everyone likes to say that the plants, how they mature is going to really affect the end result. Yes, that's true. The plants have their own genius that will improve the overall layout when you get to that step. But anything that you can take care of in the hardscaping phase, do it. And then when the plants do their thing after that, it'll be just that much better, right? So we don't want to rely on them. We want to give the hardscaping stage as much time as we possibly can. And yeah, so you definitely, if possible, if you can get your concept together by mid-November and then start hardscaping in December, that's a good leg up. But I think, like, if you can't, don't feel rushed. If you're like in the beginning of January and you're starting to get your concept together, or like the concept is coming together near the beginning of January and you start hardscaping early January, you should be good. I would say that unless you're really confident and you know the hardscaping process is not going to be that intensive, like if you are, like Josh's Aquascape last year had minimal hardscaping, that was brilliant, right? If you know that if you're going for something like that, then maybe you can get away with hardscaping start early February. That said, you know, you want to get into it as soon as possible. So we're going to be playing a bit of catch up here. So today, what I'll be doing is putting in like the filler for the nature aquarium. What you can see in here is I have the empty tank, but I put in actually one of these bath mats here. So I think in the first of the Master Skills series, I said I used rubber like a rubber mat. That's actually really good. It doesn't float. The thing about the rubber mat, doesn't float, can be cut to the right size, thick, durable, but it's also quite expensive. Like, I think I would have to pay 50 or 60 to find like a neoprene, you know, good thickness rubber mat that would cover the bottom. If you go to a home center in Japan, they actually like cut it to size for you there, which is awesome. I couldn't find a similar type of offering where I am in New York. And I realized like this year, it's going to be wood mainly in my aquascape. And I don't really need a whole lot of rock and a whole lot of weight. I'm not too terrified of like the base that I'm going to be building. So I decided we'll go a little bit light. This is, well, I'm not like showing off the maker or anything, but like this is what I'm using. It is a black suction bottomed bath mat. I figured all I need is something that is tough enough to protect the bottom in certain areas. With the suction cups, it'll actually attach itself to the base of the glass aquarium. So that means that no floating, right? And yeah, it's gonna be completely covered. The weight of the main stones is gonna be about where you see it. And so that should help a lot in terms of like just giving me a place to anchor stuff. Now, so you get the bench here, because 60 centimeters is super high. Like to reach into this thing is like quite the challenge. You're gonna need a leg up. Like actually, it's funny. Like Jeff Miatke, one of my buddies in the aquascape in the TAC aquascaping group, like he was talking to me that, you know, at his age, at his point, he doesn't want to be reaching into these super tall aquariums anymore. And I get that. Like there would be an appeal to having this be a 15 centimeter high tank too, but 60 high is super. This is the same size that Masashi Ono and Luis Cardosa worked on for their Iwagumi at the Life Aqua event we did in Taiwan. That is such a beautiful aquascape. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you gotta check it out. But you know, there is something to be said about the height. Having a good height on an aquarium can just give you more options. And the thing is, you can always go lower, right, for the actual photo. So if you want to have low, super deep background paint, this aquarium can definitely do it, right? 60 background, and if we lowered the water to like this high, it could be like ridiculous depth dimension in either a Brazilian style or a diorama style. But you know, having the 60 centimeter height to work with can also give you really interesting options. Ono-san was like, Steven, you should have a tall tank, because I'm always super interested to see what you do with the height in your aquarium, so don't shy away from it. Anyway, regardless, we're gonna need to get off the ground. We're not going to be able to do this very well without something in the back. If I just only use soil, it would take a ton of soil. And UNS did send me a bunch of contra soil. I'm excited to work with it. I've already brought it out here. And of course, like, so here's the Seiru stone. And like I've got some driftwood. That's a bit of it. There's more in the garage. I have to move over here. I've also got some natural wood from the forest around and my backyard here that we'll talk about that another day. But for now, we got to get some of this filler. If it was in Japan, I would have used pumice from a garden shop, but I found a landscaping store that had what they're calling this blue rock. This would be fine. So I did some more adjustment off camera. One thing I noticed about working with this first time compared to pumice is that, well, pumice is all like small round pebbles when I used it, so they roll around, they don't really cling together. This, with this bluestone, you know, these rocks, they will cling and hold each other once put in place. So I found there's a lot more opportunity to mold the base structure of the aquarium by doing this. And what is easy for the mind to do is just make nice, even, clear slopes across the whole bottom. Very much like the way you see aqua soil typically distributed inside any of these nature aquarium style layouts, like the nice, clean ADA start kind of thing. But here I found that because, you know, the rocks will hold in place in order to form the shape, I have a lot more freedom to make adjustments. And I did look back at the aquascaping design, the one that I put together, and started to find that even at this stage, I need to make certain adjustments for it. Like, I realized I want a lot deeper aqua soil for the back of this. So and with this stone, I was actually able to do, like, this isn't gonna slide backwards now that it's holding on. Once you put aqua soil on top of this, these rocks are not gonna move. So to that end, I basically was able to form a planter in back so that the soil can be deeper at the back for the roots and for the plants that are gonna go back there. I did that on both sides. So I'm able to translate the height for the stones only into the midground. And these midground stones are now kind of like a wall, a planter, that's giving the overall height and structure, but also gonna be able to hold the soil for background plants in place. And then I opened up the foreground a lot because you see there's even kind of a flow to this, like on this side it's pointing forward and that side it's pointing back. Even at this stage, we want to be thinking 3D as much as possible, not like even symmetrical, two-dimensional. All right, so I think that's where we're gonna leave it off for now. I'm pretty happy with the slopes and the structure. After this, the stones are gonna start going in order to form the base before we start getting into the real woodwork, the heart and soul of this aquascape. But guys, it is gonna be harder to show what's going on inside the aquarium after this. It is a contest tank after all. But what you wanna keep coming back for is the rest of the calendar check-in series, because we're gonna be having informal conversations like this, talking about where I am, talking about where I think you should be. The contest aquascaping scene is a marathon. It's a project management. It's the burn. It's the slow burn and meeting checkpoints along the way towards the ultimate goal of taking that final photo. So stay tuned, come in, check that out. The Master Skills Series 2, I'm gonna try to publish the next one by the end of January. This is basically one Master Skills and one calendar check-in every month as much as possible. The next is gonna be featuring Silent Pool, so it's gonna be a wood aquascape just like this one. So look forward to that. If you like this comment, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. Take it easy.